How are we gonna stop these young brothers from shooting and killing each other?
Well, the first thing we need to do is we got to re-educate them. So why don't we put some resources in the community, like instead of sending people away to the penitentiary, we need to send them away to like drop squad. We got to take them, isolate them, reprogram them, and give them a sense of purpose. We also got to eliminate that concept from the authorities of the police that you meet violence with violence. You know, when Daley made his comment on the Supreme Court's decision on making guns legal in Washington, D.C., he made the reference of what are we going to do, turn this into the Wild Wild West? Well, in case he hasn't looked lately, Chicago is the Wild Wild West. And the police have contributed greatly to that. Now, I am not just blaming everything on the police, but the police job is to maintain the public order, and you do not meet violence with violence in that regard. You cannot fight this problem in isolation. There are many contributing factors, and what we've got now is what has happened over a long period of time of benign neglect. Our community resources are not here in terms of education, spiritual, or financial.
When Jody Weiss came here to be the police chief of Chicago, I really believe that Jody Weiss and Mayor Daley are going to move these gangbangers as much as possible out of Chicago into the suburbs. I think they're very serious. What do you think?
Well, at the rate we're going with the militarization of the police, and let's not be confused, the police are being militarized in Chicago. Anytime you're talking about arming them with assault weapons, M4 rifles, when they have rejuvenated the squadrons to the point where they're simulating tanks, they have become militarized. The indoctrination that the police are receiving is total brainwashing of that of soldiers, war, and there's no doubt that the police in Chicago have declared war on the communities, especially the black community in Chicago.
That means innocent people are going to be shot and killed.
It doesn't matter at this point. They're on a mission. The agenda is to do several things. One is to eliminate what they consider as the threat to the image of Chicago for the 2016 Olympics. And it's already been, black people have already been identified as such. Now with this economic, the onslaught of this economic, infusion of high taxes, high gas, no employment, inferior education, a climate exists now where our communities are very volatile, and the men are frustrated, the women are frustrated, the children are frustrated. And so they're hoping that we do it to ourselves, but they are assisting us with this agitation where the police have fully enacted this us against them mindset.
But all this drama with the police and the gangbangers killing each other and the police coming for us, those of us who are, gangbangers, whatever, some innocent people are going to get hurt. We know that. This is in the midst of Barack Obama becoming president. Now, contextualize that.
There's this movie called, Idiocracy? And it kind of reminds me of that, where you have a culture of people who have been duped into believing, well, first of all, the country is a parody on the United States. You have a black president, that's the first thing. And of course, he fits all the stereotypes of the contemporary Negro. The old stereotype of the Negro was shuffling and head bowed and all of that. This guy is wild looking, hip hop, leotard wearing, wild man. But they have convinced the people that some of the things that are true to be untrue. For example, the people can't drink water because they have been told or convinced that water is an enemy, and all your energy drinks and all of that is water, so it takes a place. And so I'm saying that we are moving towards idiocracy, and I can't explain it totally without probably confusing it. I just tell people to watch it. But this is the case of, in my opinion, art imitates life. As far as where we are socially, I think that's what we need to look at. It's sad, but it's true. This plan has been in effect a very long time. And so we're experiencing the plan almost coming to fruition. The question becomes, how do people combat it? There are some people that are not going to be able to combat it, and we're going to lose a lot of people. Those who are aware need to become more in tune to their community, because as the saying goes, they come for me tonight, they'll come for you in the morning. So none of us are safe, be you black, white, or what have you. And as far as them moving us out of the city into the barrios, you know, many people weren't paying attention, but early on in Daley's administration, he and Maggie took a lot of trips to Paris. And Maggie made no bones about it in her few interviews, in that we are going to change Chicago to Paris. And they began with the wrought iron fences, they dealt with the physical image of the plants. They even have a contract with J.C. Decaux, who has the bus stops now. That's a French company. And so the other major thing that occurs in France, that people don't, in Paris, that people don't pay attention to, is that they move all the low-income people out into the barrios, where you don't see them in the city because it becomes too expensive for them to live in the city. We don't pay attention to history, and the problem is, you know, when you don't do that, as they say, people who don't know history tend to repeat it. So by us being ahistorical, you can fall for any trap, and the traps are there, and they are now being implemented. That's all.
But Pat, is Barack Obama going to save us or help us fight the mayor, or fight against the mayor Daley and help us preserve our neighborhoods and our families?
You know,
Barack Obama.
I forgot to even mention, you know, it's like I didn't even deal with that question. You know, I think the ultimate trick, excuse me, is being played. But you have to get people into a certain psychological condition to accept certain things. And so we are in total acceptance of the symbolism of Barack Obama being president. And unfortunately, because we don't have an agenda, because we're not organized, because we're ignorant of politics and how it works, only thing that most black people are settling for is the bragging rights of having a black president. We have not put an agenda to him that says, Barack, we need for you to pay attention to the things that others do not pay attention to. For example, there's a crime in our community. On a federal level, how is that going to impact Chicago? And much of this crime that is occurring is he is the senatorial, it is in his district. All of the shooting and stuff that's going on in the South Chicago community, in the South Shore community, he is the U.S. Senator for that district. And I have not heard one word directly addressing this violence. He can go to different churches and talk about the slugs of the black men are to their children. But what is going to happen? What, as the president, what are you going to do with, first of all, health, education, and welfare is a department in the federal government that the president can appoint members of to oversee. And historically, that is the department that got resources into our community that has altered much of what is going on now. I haven't heard that. I want to hear about policy. So is Barack Obama going to save us? I think it's ignorant of black people even have that Messiah mentality to think that one man, one black man especially, and let's be realistic. When would we expect white racist America to allow a black man to become the leader of white racist America? He cannot become the leader without white racist America on some level allowing it to occur. So if Barack does become the president, I don't think we need to even question how. We need to question why.